What does it mean to be American? The Civil War was one of the most influential events that have occurred to shape America to how it is today. America was shaped to be one of the most unique countries in the world, and this was due to many historical events that have occurred in American history, like the Civil War. Here we have Dennis Coleman talking about the effects of the Civil War and how it has affected Americans today.
They became 13 separate countries. There was nothing in the Constitution about seceding. I don't know why, if it didn't occur to them or what. But at those times, people identified with their state or county even. My name's Bob Jones. I'm from Shelby County, Tennessee. Now, I might vote for a congressman, but the state legislators appointed the senators, and people didn't have any say in that. So they viewed the federal government, many of them, about like we view the UN today. Yeah, we're in the UN, and if they do reasonably close to what we want, we'll go along with it.
The war between the Union Army and the Confederate Army, as the Civil War was also known, ended in a Confederate surrender in 1865. The Union Army had over 1 million more soldiers. The Civil War was also the deadliest war in American history with more than 625,000 total deaths. We also have Don Hayden to explain the struggles of the Civil War which the Union had to face before their victory royale.
Well, the struggles were much worse than they were here 100 years later, because back before the Civil War they were killing each other. So if you compare that with the United States today, the same percentage of the population back then to today, that would be 8 million dead Americans. So losing all those people was a real loss to the country.
Here we have an interview with author Juan Williams from the Washington Journal, explaining the likeliness of an African American being in the military now compared to during his lifetime.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just, by the way, your experience in the military, again, you see a high percentage of minorities, especially African Americans, in the military. And I think that it has been a model in terms of improved race relations in my lifetime.
66% of the deaths was due to disease. The purpose of these Americans' deaths were to defend the rights to man and for slavery to be abolished. Equality between all races were a big factor for recruiting soldiers because those in support of slavery did not want African Americans to be in the war, but those who are in favor of anti-slavery were fighting so that anybody, no matter the race, could fight for their country.
Go back that far, you talk about the states, everybody thought I come from a state. So when they talked about the United States anywhere, here or across the pond, they talked about the United States are, because the United States was all those states. But after the Civil War, the United States is. We were one country.
One of the tragic things that happened was the assassination of Lincoln. Lincoln probably could have controlled the change, but when he was assassinated, that just stirred up the North. Those Southerners had done that, and it made Reconstruction much, much harder. Ronald Reagan said, this is the only country where you can become a citizen. One thing, if you go to Japan and you go to a classroom, everybody in the classroom's Japanese. You go to America, you might see 10 languages. And you can, wherever you're from, you can become an American. You can't become Chinese citizen. You can't become a lot of countries. That's what makes us unique.
If you take people from Bosnia, down in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and all those areas down there where you have Muslims working side by side with Christians, they kill each other. You bring them and you transplant them to the U.S., they don't kill each other. That's what makes us different.